Hello, Augies Worldwide. I'm Dave Kassler, amateur radio call sign KE0OG, here with another episode of Ask Dave. Today's question comes from Paul. He's a shortwave listener, and he says, do you know what major broadcaster has the strongest signal on the shortwave bands and why? Well, this brings us to the question of what constitutes strongest. I'm assuming what you mean by strongest is the one that moves your S meter the furthest. Now, the thing about this is that shortwave broadcasters often broadcast with considerable amounts of energy so that their signals can be heard around the world. The strongest ones you're going to hear are some of the North American religious broadcasters. They broadcast on shortwave in the hopes of catching people in other parts of the world where small shortwave radios are very common. Their signals are quite strong because they're close here in the USA. There are still some governments broadcasting their national radio programs on shortwave. But again, it's a distance kind of thing. And of course, you have the ionospheric effects of fading, selective fading, and other things like that happening. Since most broadcasters broadcast AM, you've got two sidebands and a carrier to deal with. And if you get fading in one of the sidebands or of the carrier, you've got double the opportunity to get fading. Something you can look at and try is to listen to these shortwave broadcasters in either upper sideband or lower sideband. Now you're going to lose your low frequencies below 300 hertz, so you lose the bass. But sometimes they're a lot more understandable if you just pick a sideband and listen to that. There is a feature on a lot of shortwave radios where you can use just the carrier and then pick a sideband. And this is synchronous detection and will give you better lower frequencies and a more fade-free signal. Now, there are a few broadcast stations that uses DRM, Digital Radio Mondiale, or something like that. I still don't know how to pronounce that. But those actually use digital radio techniques. So if you have a signal at all, it'll be very nice quality. But then again, it has the opposite problem. If the signal level drops below a certain threshold, the signal just goes away. So who are the strongest? I mean, some of these broadcast stations will put out 250,000 watts. Others, like the religious broadcasters in the U.S., are often 5,000, 10,000, sometimes even 50,000 watts. One of the very strong signals on the band is HCJB, a broadcaster with Ecuador. It's primarily, but not entirely, a religious broadcaster. Now you can still get radio stations from other countries. I always used to like to listen to Radio Japan and the Voice of Germany and things like that, just to get another perspective on the news and what's going on. Sometimes these, especially from South America, have music programs on there where you can hear their local indigenous music industry and what they're doing there, and you'll hear some fantastic music that you simply will not hear here in the States. So there are lots of things that you can listen to. Which is the strongest? Oh man, the list of variables it depends on are amazing. Time of day, ionospheric condition, the frequency, the number of sunspots, so on and so forth. This is why listening to shortwave radio is so interesting, because you're never quite sure what you're going to get. And if we do get a very large solar storm, it'll actually wipe out all the ionospheric communications completely, and there's nothing to listen to except your local AM or local FM. So I hope that helps answer your question a little bit there, Paul. The stateside religious broadcasters tend to be the strongest, but HCJB comes in really strong, and that is an ionospheric signal. So there you have it. This is our little giveaway, number 7. This is a little DDS, direct digital synthesis function generator. It's made as a kit. I put it together. I had some trouble with it, but I overcame it, made it work. It's cute, and it's nice to play with. If you have an oscilloscope, you can look at the waveforms. If you don't, you can listen to them and get a feel for what different waveforms sound like. If you would like to support this channel financially, you may do so by going to dcastler.com/support. And please subscribe, please click like, and until we next meet, 73.